So I'm Punit Shah, co-founder and chief marketing officer at Easy Texting. At Easy Texting, we're a product that helps automate business text messaging for marketers with small marketing teams at small companies and small and medium businesses.
And I'm Steve Kessen. I'm CEO at Fathom, and Fathom's a digital marketing firm who believes strong strategy starts with deep roots, and we get deeply rooted in our clients' business, have deep roots in digital, and ultimately focus on driving outcomes, which is a lot of what our conversation is today. And we partner with CMOs and marketing leaders like Punit, helping them measure the results and maximize a business impact through digital. And that's really the emphasis of what today's story is really all about.
So let me start back at the end of 2020 and then sort of take you through 21 and what happened. So we were seeing some really great early performance in a channel that the team got really excited about at the end of 2020. And we were really starting to sort of think of ourselves as a mid-market focused company. And as we started to scale, we actually, in the beginning of 21, we started to see the wheels come off of that strategy. And we were very overinvested. We had probably gotten too far over our skis.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I love a conversation that's focused on business results. And that's what the conversation really got down to as we were looking in February, March, April of last year. The business results weren't there. So the question is what's driving the results for where they need to be based on the growth trajectory of Easy Texting. And so my recommendation to a marketer is dive 2 feet into that conversation fully, because at the end of the day, that's what we're here to do. Is here to drive a business result at a strong return. And, one of the things that we jointly did, Punit and I came together because it's, when performance isn't good, sometimes those aren't fun conversations. But you also, realize who you're working with on the other side of the screen or the other side of the room through those situations. And, Punit and I both, I think, rallied our organizations to get laser focused. And we got focused on 2 things. How do we increase the number of new paying users? And how do we reduce the cost to acquire those customers?
And that's when we started breaking open the data. We started to look really carefully about the kinds of returns we were getting as we were scaling out. And Fathom and Easy Texting got together, and we really poured over the data, and we really said, you know what? Most of our greatest sales deals were coming from this self-service funnel, not in the mid-market funnel. And we were seeing a lot of customers come through organically on Easy Texting's brand. And so we decided to switch the strategy from doing, AM based marketing over to this self-service channel, and really focused on, high value keywords, high value customers, and high intent customers sort of coming into Easy Texting, really understanding people that already knew that they wanted texting, rather than trying to sell sort of a new customer texting. And so Steve really sort of initially brought the idea to us to say, hey, you know what? You're spending all this money on salespeople, but when we look at things, we're seeing the best conversion come through these self-service channels where they're getting on your free trial and then they're converting on their own. So why don't we take a stab at trying to accelerate that rather than the expensive ABM campaigns we were running over LinkedIn and other channels? And so beginning in February 21, we started to make this shift, really thankful to have a partner that was looking at the data alongside me and really sort of saying, you know what, it kind of feels like you guys are wasting this gold mine you've got on this other side. Because, as we looked at it more and more, we realized, man, we have something not a lot of people have. We have a product and a funnel that sells itself, right? And rather than trying to aim at customers that needed a lot of handholding, aiming at customers that already knew they wanted texting, and just filling in the educational gaps in that funnel really helped accelerate our business. And we can get into some of the data of the dramatic shift and the cuts in cost of acquisition that we've acquired, the scale of revenue growth that we've acquired now. And so really did a full 180. Our investors even took a look at us and say, hey, why don't you just double down on this self-service strategy and really go product-led growth? And so Steve and Fathom were a big part of helping us accomplish this sort of change.
Yeah, as we entered the spring of last year, to Punit's point, it was an opportunity to have some real conversations with Easy Texting around business strategy. And I think sometimes the marketer gets put in the marketing box. And the reality is the marketer often is the one interfacing with the customer the most. And so one of the things that we started to do is we looked at the data and we recognized that there was some high lifetime value customers coming through in some very profitable manners. The challenge was, there was only so much funding to put towards the different channels, and there was an optimization game that needed to be played. So we were able to have the conversation with Punit and his team in terms of what we were seeing in the data, and the Easy Texting team were great partners also in providing us customer data. So we could marry up what we saw in the digital channels with what we saw in actual customer data that helped us drive this change.
We actually did a code red for about 2 weeks where we put everybody into a Slack room together, both teams, and let them ask questions back and forth. There was a lot of data clarification we needed to do. There was a lot of goal setting we needed to do. So for 2 weeks, they were just going back and forth on Slack. Then we got into this twice a week meeting cadence over a quarter. And then we were able to back off pretty easily once we had seen sort of, okay, the trees are parting and we're out of the forest. But we really sort of hunkered down and just said, okay, just ask any question you want. No question is too stupid. Let's just figure this all out. And we had both teams sort of hands ready to get each other all the information that they needed, right? And then our finance partners were really great, sort of gave us flexibility on our budgets and said, okay, let's first get to this level of CAC, and then let's get to this level of CAC, and kind of pushed us over time rather than all at once, and allowed us to sort of make mistakes as we sort of fixed the funnel, right? So all the way around, it was just really about talking, right? About what we were seeing, and really getting to a consensus on what we were going to do to hit our goals, right? And where we were all going to be happy with the outcome.
So we were able to really take a lot of the experiences and the data points that came along the way of this focus to win at the margins. And when you win at the margin and then at the next margin and the next margin, is really when you start to see these incredible results. And the type of results we drove were incredible. I mean, the overall cost per acquisition decreased by 30% and paid by over 50%. And so we got really efficient in the work. And sometimes you get efficient and you lose volume. Well, that wasn't the case here. We were also able to drive a 30% increase in the volume of subscribers. And so, it's really a perfect, harmony of driving both more and at a more efficient cost. Those are the sorts of things that get the board excited and get us excited as we start working to expand and do more.
And so we were able to create these little solutions for people. And now that's feeding back into the product pipeline. So now we've got a whole roadmap for the next 3 years of things we got to do for these 3 ICPs. So it's just fantastic when you choose, saying focus is a gift. That's really true, right? But that only happens when you really look at data without any bias, right? And you just say, okay, where are we going to get focus, and how do we get alignment, and how do we get conviction, right? Conviction is really important too, as part of the story. Is like Steve and I had conviction around the data because we knew we weren't biasing ourselves, right? We weren't sort of saying, okay, let's go try that and see if it works. It was no, that actually looks like it's going to work. And then we tried it and it did work. And we're like, okay, we're getting more confident. Right? And so as Steve mentions, winning on the margins, we just kept winning on every single margin we were pushing on. And it just felt like, the wave was getting higher and higher.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, the 3 takeaways, that I have are: understand your customer. At the end of the day, you're not in business if you're not creating value for someone else, and you need to know your customer. And I'm not talking about the persona level of Tommy Texter. I'm talking about like actually know your customer. Look at who's buying, what are their drivers, what's the experience of how they get there. And that will be one of your best predictors of what the future is going to look like. As you really understand your customer at depth using data, then it's optimize and learn every step of the journey as you possibly can. You can measure a lot. To Punit's point, it's not going to be perfect and it doesn't have to be perfect. But you don't have to let perfect get in the way of progress, and progress can help you win at the margins. So really, really take steps in that direction to understand every interaction along the journey and how you optimize against it and where do you prioritize your energy.
I'll just say, like, a lot of people in business tend to look at where they're winning in small ways and forget to look at where they're winning in big ways. They sort of forget the strategic advantages they've created, and they seem to only look at the new or the competitor for where they need to go next. And a lot of times you need to just reinvest in the strategic advantage you've created to get you this far.
I love that. Punit, that is such a great take. And you're right. So many people miss that. So I love that. I don't have anything to add except for I can't wait to do this in Austin, and can't wait for our podcast.